Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here at Earth and Sky, and each of you joining us online. We always appreciate you tuning in to us every week. We've been talking the last few weeks about the 4 agreements, ancient Toltec wisdom, about how to live a life that is your best life, where you're able to find joy, able to find the freedom to be who you are, and to be proud of the life that you have lived. We talked first about the agreement of being impeccable with your words, recognizing when you say things that it is important to mean what you to say, and to say the words that you choose with love, to say it with compassion, being able to be authentic with who you are, and noticing how those words will be delivered to somebody as well. Everybody hears things in different ways, and it's up to us as the speaker to deliver the words in the way that that person will understand them, if we have the capacity to do so. And then we talked about not taking things personally, and how it's important to know that sometimes throughout our lives, oftentimes on a daily basis, I think for some people, they feel like so many things happen to them, or people do things to them, or it's on purpose that this happened or that happened. And when we learn that it's not about you, the things that are in your life are within your grasp, your control, your ability to choose how you look at those, what your perspective is. If somebody walks into you and they accidentally bump into you and they spill their drink all over you, it probably wasn't that they did it on purpose. It wasn't actually about you being there. It was something that happened, but it's not something you need to take personally. And the same thing goes in so many other aspects. You can watch that video. And then we also talked about not making assumptions for things, because so often we will try to weave these stories into things. We'll try to figure out what this means and what that means, and we'll assume that somebody indicated something beneath what they were actually showing us, or we will weave deep stories into many things. And we get ourselves into so much trouble with that when we make assumptions, instead of just being very direct and noticing, keeping ourselves very present in the moment. The 4th agreement is one that brings everything else all together. The 4th agreement is what makes it easier to help the first 3 to become ingrained as part of your life, and also to practicing the first 3 will make it easier to do what the 4th agreement is, which is to do your best. To do your best at everything that you do, to show up in your life on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, to really be present. The way that we do our best is to be fully present, to be fully engaged. And it's also important when we talk about doing our best, not to focus on doing more than your best, because if you try to do more than your best, you're just going to deplete yourself. You're going to feel your body is exhausted. You're going to feel mentally overwhelmed. You may feel a bit emotionally on edge, because when you try to do more than your best, then you're never going to actually reach the expectations that you have for yourself. It is important simply to do our best, and to make sure that we are doing our best, because if you're not trying to do your best in every single thing that you do in your life, not doing your best leads to feelings of shame, guilt, self-pity, remorse, feeling like you didn't show up for your life, feeling like maybe you could have done a little more, you could have had a little more effort, and regretting that. Instead, don't regret the things that you do or don't do. Instead, show up and do your best. By doing that, you'll be feeling the healthy vitality that flows through, and through this one single aspect, and combining all 4 of them together even greater, you will be breaking the spell that you have always felt like you are under. So often people live many years, or perhaps all of their lives, feeling like they never measure up, or if they'd only tried harder, or they feel so guilty because they didn't do something, or they didn't give it their all, or they just feel self-pity that nothing ever works out for you. You can break through all of that by acknowledging in every moment and remembering to show up for your life and to do your best. And as you do that, that spell, that cloud over you breaks, and you begin to be able to see things with clarity. You begin to understand and see the world that is in front of you, the many opportunities that are present for you, and you begin to see your ability and your capabilities that you have to move your life forward and to enjoy every moment instead of being worried about the past or fearing things in the future. Being here, being happy. You are here to live your life. The point of this life is to live. To live means to take action, to stand up, to get out, to do, to create. Being happy happens when you know and you feel the satisfaction of knowing you do your best in everything that you do. Whether it is a conversation with somebody and you're allowing yourself to be fully present and engaged, listening and responding, you feel good after you had that conversation. You're not exhausted because you had 1,000 things going on in your head and you're trying to figure out, how can I stop this conversation so I can go run and do that, and I forgot I need to do that because I forgot this. That's exhausting. Instead, when you are present, when you're there, whether it's with a friend or a coworker or an assignment that has been tasked to you, fully present means you can bring your joy into the moment, because the greatest gift that we have is the present moment. That's why it's called a present, because the present moment is a beautiful gift that we can give to ourselves. Doing your best is also going to vary. Doing your best does not mean every single time you're going to get the same result. Because if you are waking up and you're refreshed and you're energized and you're excited because it's the morning and you're going to go at it and do your best on something, the outcome of that will be different than if you tackle it in the evening and you're pretty tired, you're kind of exhausted, maybe you had a very full day, you showed up through your day, you're still doing your best. It's just going to have a different outcome, and that's okay. Doing your best is going to look different. The outcome will look different whether you're healthy or you're sick. It doesn't change the fact that you should do your best, whatever that best is in that moment. Doing your best looks different if you're sober or if you're drunk. Doing your best will look different if you're happy, peaceful, angry, bitter, or jealous. And this is where those other agreements come in, because when we have an emotional flux and we feel that current of emotions and we feel angry at this person or jealous that maybe they have more than you, and so it seems in your perception, or you feel bitter because you felt betrayed by somebody, when you're doing your best under those circumstances, there's a large part of your soul that is occupied in other aspects. You're not really being fully present. By being impeccable with your word, you no longer regret things that you said. You're no longer feeling shame when you see somebody and you feel like, oh, how do I face them after what I just talked about to that person about them? That's no longer a thing. When you are doing your best and you're exercising the not taking it personally, then you're not ending up at the end of the day feeling like 5 drivers on the road cut you off just because it was you, and that clerk threw the change at you not because she missed and didn't hand it to you, but because she threw it at you, and you feel like all of these things were put upon you. That changes your energy. When you are making assumptions and weaving stories that are not stories of being a hero or having a happy life, those things take your energy. They wean down one thing at a time. And when you're doing your best and those things are weighing on you, your best is not the same. By implementing those 3 practices, your best is going to get better every single day, which is why it's important So simply do your best, not trying to do more, certainly not doing less, is just as important as not doing more, and practicing all of the 4 agreements. And you will notice that that frustration you sometimes feel, where you just feel like you have a greater capacity than you are seeing within yourself, that too is going to fall away, because every day that you show up to your life, you are not taking things personally. You're not making assumptions. You're feeling the energy and the love that comes through every word that you speak, and meaning those words and doing your best every single day. You're going to do better and better and better, and you're going to see the accumulation of that as being so excited about your life. If you do that every single day this month, you are going to be so much more excited, happy, and present within yourself at the start of the next month. You do this every single day for a year, and you're going to see your life is growing and changing in ways that are better than you could have even imagined, because every day your best becomes better than it was the day before. And over a lifetime, you are dreaming your dream consciously while you are awake, instead of dreaming your dream asleep and muddling through the day. Instead, show up for yourself. Do the actions that it takes, knowing that those first agreements will help you. As you do your best and you keep focusing on that, automatically is going to continue to get better. Doing the action for the sake of the action is part of doing your best as well. That is part of how we learn to find joy. Sometimes people try to work to look for the reward, and they find joy in whatever the reward, the outcome is, not the process itself. And so, for example, let's say you have a 9-to-5 job and you get paid every 2 weeks. And you think of your job as something that you do so that you can make that paycheck, because you need the money, you want the money, you're excited about the paycheck, but you're not excited about your job. Then doesn't that seem to mean that you spend 2 weeks of your life drudging through 8 hours a day? That's 80 hours over 2 weeks that you're drudging through, not happy about what you're doing, and then for a brief moment you get that paycheck, and the paycheck comes in and you feel like, this is why I did it, this is why I'm here. And then you're able to pay your bills. Let's say you can pay the mortgage and you pay the car and you pay your water bill and all of that, and then at the end you feel like, okay, what do I have left? You feel like, oh, I really wanted more. I wanted more. And there's sometimes never enough for what you really feel like you want. I've talked to people who would have amassed a great deal of things. Sometimes we have this thing in our culture where we accumulate and we just want more, and it's to fill this void that we feel in ourselves because we are not showing up in our lives. We want to see things outside of ourselves because we're not showing up for ourselves. We want to fill the bottomless pit that we feel within our heart, within our soul, because we're trying to figure out where to find joy, and we're spending 80 hours every 2 weeks not showing up. And on top of that, then the time that you have with your family, perhaps you feel like you want to feel joy with the family. So often people meet, and less than a year they're engaged, less than a year they're married, they're having kids, and they may think that, oh, if I just have kids, those kids will love me and I will feel fulfilled. And it's a lot of work, and you realize that's a lot of hours you're spent doing changing diapers and feeding them and helping them grow up, and then it's time for them to go to college and the college fund, and it never seems to end if all you're focusing on is the reward, and you're waiting for that thing that comes in that sparks joy, that fills you up. And it may feel like joy is always fleeting if you're living in that mindset, but instead, if you start to do your best in every single thing, when you show up to work, you're excited because you figure out ways to play games with it within yourself, and you figure out how to have joy. If you are a janitor, you find ways to have joy with what you're doing, the sparkling cleanness of the sheets, the beautiful gleam of the floors, how when people walk into that building, it is a beautiful building because the floors sparkle and the mirrors are clean. that job matters. It matters. You matter. Whether you're, maybe you're coordinating hedge funds and you're operating in Wall Street and you have a lot that you're feeling is riding on your shoulders for a lot of people, but you're just waiting to see the fleeting reward that comes in as the money ticks in for you. That is a lot of stress that you feel throughout the day. Instead, whatever your job is, if you find yourself enjoying every moment by showing up, by taking the action and being fully present in whatever those actions are, you will find that those 80 hours over 2 weeks actually spark joy. And then the paycheck is just another beautiful bonus, and you can utilize that. And when you start showing up with your family, every relationship that you have, every person that you talk to, that you start showing up and you do your best with them. You do your best to be present, to simply bring your presence into it, and to recognize you are a divine being having an interaction with divinity and this other being that you are talking to. How miraculous is that? Don't do it with your eyes and your mind closed, feeling like it doesn't matter. Show up, do your best, bring your soul into it, wake your spirit up and see the light and the spirit in that other person and bring that interaction to it. There are so many things where we can show up and really do our best. Work, play, community, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your hobbies are, do your best. Enjoy them to the most. Doing your best doesn't mean just focusing on the work and making sure the outcome and the product is good. It means doing your best by bringing your presence there and enjoying that moment, recognizing the divinity in every interaction that you have. By doing this, when you do your best, when you create games with it and you learn to play in the everyday moments of life, then you find no longer will you get bored. No longer will you be frustrated with things in life, because you're finding the action is where life is. The action of every moment, the action of every step. This is where the joy is, by doing your best, by being your best, by being the present moment in the presence of who you are. It is not easy to start doing this. It might sound like it would be overwhelming or exhausting, but it's not. You will find your freedom as you start to do this. It will set you free by making this a habit every moment, in every part of your life. And then also learning to accept yourself and learning from your mistakes, because there will be times where you will feel like, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to implement all of these agreements and I'm showing up for my life and I'm so excited, and then you stumble and you realize you went back into old habits. And that's okay. Recognize it. Accept it. See it as a learning moment. It's a teaching moment. Everything that is a misstep is there to teach us something so we can pick ourselves back up again. It is so important not to let yourself staying down. If you feel like you have been beaten down, or you feel like you're struggling and you just can't seem to get up, every time you try something, something happens and it just wrecks the whole plan. Believe me, we have been there. I absolutely understand chaotic stories that would be sound like fiction, but when you recognize it as what it is, it's a story. It's a part of the life. It's a part of the action that has happened. And you recognize that what happened does not define you, but the energy that you bring into the situation, the energy that you show up with every moment in your life, that is what defines you. That is what people remember about you after you leave this life. It's not what you did. It's the energy that you brought, who you are, how they felt around you, what energy you bring into the room. That is what matters, and that is where you learn to do your best. If you find yourself spending immense amounts of time throughout your day in inactivity, perhaps hours of watching TV or hours of playing a game or hours of endless scrolling without meaning on your phone, is it because perhaps you are afraid to be alive? Is it perhaps that you are escaping? Is it perhaps that you are afraid to listen to the voice of your soul that is ready to come alive, to take some risks, to dream your life awake? It is so important to ask yourself, why do you do the things you do? And to not judge yourself for it either, because you don't want to judge yourself. You are not the judge and the jury, and it is not the point of you being here to feel guilt and shame and upset and all of that. That is going to drive you into more escaping because you don't want to deal with it. Instead, recognize where you are. See whatever the patterns have been as great teachers for you, because it shows you where you are right now, and begin to do your best. Now be impeccable with your words. Be present in your life. Not just being impeccable with your words to others, but be impeccable with the words you say to yourself. What are you telling yourself? What do you believe within yourself? What are those thoughts that pop up that send in doubt or fear or worry or feeling not good enough? Hear those thoughts and then cancel them out. Perhaps even saying out loud, I hear this thought. I used to think that. I know that is not true. I am worthy. I am choosing to be here. I'm choosing to be my best. Let go of the past in order to be fully present. We cannot let all of the patterns and the things and the possibilities of what might have been or what did happen hold weight over us if we are to be fully alive and fully present and to fully do our best. Look at what you had to learn from. See your fears, run towards them, find your courage, find the bravery, and let the past go. In that same way, you can't just live in the future if you are to have a successful life, if you are to find your greatest capacity for joy and to be alive. We do not live in the past, and we do not live in the future. Our regrets, our past challenges, our things of wishful thinking, those are in the past. Our fears maybe live in the future. Our dreams maybe live in the future. Our things that perhaps we are wishing will come true live in the future. But those are not really physical manifestations of what's going on here and now. Here in the present is where you can learn from the past and where you draw your dreams of the future into this concrete reality that you begin creating in your life by taking the actions and believing in yourself, showing up for your life, do the actions, move forward, and do your best. And then guess what? Tomorrow you're going to be pretty excited about what's coming because you're going to be ready to do your best again. You have the right to be happy. You are alive. You have the right to love. Inherently, you are loved because you are made of the light of love. You are here for a reason. You exist in this moment for a reason. And if you feel like at times in your life you are not seen, know that I see you. Know that I know that you matter. Know that I see the light of the soul that is in you because I know your soul connects with my soul. And through that we connect to this light of divinity, and it is alive within you, and it is pushing you forward to choose life and to choose to do your best. You are an expression of divinity. Love yourself. Show that love to yourself by taking the action and living one day at a time. Live your life. Do your best by the 4 agreements, being impeccable with your words. Not taking things personally. Learn to laugh it off. If you feel like something was personal, laugh it off. Know that it actually didn't matter. Don't make assumptions about things. Trust yourself. Trust the light. Trust the light that is in others as well. And just do your best. Remember, when you fall, don't feel sorry for yourself. Stand up. You are strong enough. You are smart enough. You are enough. Just do it. If you feel like you keep falling, it's okay. Keep getting up. keep doing it, and you're going to find your best gets better and better and better. Allowing yourself to simply be present. Be here today. Be here. Show up for your life. Start today. Continue it tomorrow. Perhaps making notes to remind yourself of this. And with that, I think we'll end today. And I hope that you go and have an amazingly, enjoyably present day. Whatever your day has to bring, be present, do your best, and know that that is enough. And please remember to go to our website, earthandskyscenter.com. We have a lot of classes coming up and several things for great information on there too. Have a great week, everyone.